We have a special guest here. So, welcome to the Aligned and Thriving from Overwhelmed to Overflow Summit. We have Angelica here. She is inspiration to me. First off, I've actually connected with her on Instagram from her inspirational content. And when I seen it, I'm like, wait, we have to have her a part of this summit. So, we are welcome to have you here, Angelica. Um, we're going to get started today talking about some really great things when it comes to becoming aligned and thriving in your life. As entrepreneurs, it's so needed. As entrepreneurs, women creatives, it's so needed to make sure you're in alignment, showing up the way that God has intended us to. And with TG&D Consultant, we're going to talk about in this interview God a lot because we are a faith business. And if you are here today watching this and you don't believe in God, there is a spiritual power, right? So spiritual higher power. So whoever you believe in, we know that is a spiritual realm to it, to be in alignment. So Angelica, again, thank you for coming today. And we're going to get started. I'm going to let you guys know who Angelica is. I'm going to read off her bio here. And we're going to get into conversation. But once I read off Angelica's bio, Angelica, I do want you to introduce yourself to the people as well today, too. Okay. So we have. Oh, and then ladies, before we get into it, let's talk about what the conversation is going to be about today. So we're talking about owning your legacy and the impact that it has on your story. We know that it's super important to have a story because if you don't have a story, how are people going to connect with you? Like, how do they relate on why they should be showing up for your business, whether it's a sell engagement or whether it's just to connect and be an inspiration. So we know that it's important to have, everyone has a legacy. It's important to know what that legacy is. And a lot of us don't know. So that's why we want to have this conversation today. So we can help give you some tips and tools to get in alignment for your story as well. Okay. So again, we have Angelica here. She is the founder and CEO of Angel Untamed. It's a jewelry brand and a spiritual movement rooted in self-expression and inner growth. Excuse me here, I should have put my glasses on. As an entrepreneur and spiritual coach, her mission is to help people embody their highest selves. And through through adornment, energy, and mindset. She creates spaces where authenticity is celebrated and every soul feels seen and inspired and empowered to evolve. We know that you must feel inspired and empowered to even show up to do anything. So, Angelica, I love what you do and what you offer to your customers. And just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I think Donna, you killed that with that bio. It was beautifully said. Yeah, I'm Angelica. I started my jewelry brand about 2 years ago, and simply because one, I've always been passionate about fashion and self-expression. I've always been the odd one out growing up as a kid, where I would wear bracelets all the way up to my elbows, or I would wear fedoras with like animal print and knee-high Converse. So fashion is something that I've always known, as well as self-improvement and self-growth. I'm lucky enough to have parents who have raised me in a home of always wanting to better yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what better way to mix those with my career of launching a jewelry brand, as well as the whole core belief behind my jewelry brand is that it highlights who you are. It highlights the value that you already have, and that's my pure belief and my pure purpose that I believe in. I have in life is to not only be there for myself and bettering myself, but also to hold space for people where I can encourage people to better themselves as well.
Yes, and that is super important. And I love that you're thinking about not just, how can I make money, but it's alignment, right? It's alignment of what God has given, the gifts that God has given to you and that your parents help, cultivate within you. So that's a beauty. Love that, love it, love that. And then for people who are here today too, and you are fashion lovers, this is a great brand. So we're gonna share how you can connect with Angelica after this to check out her pieces. But I love that you say you embraced your differences as you were younger. Like wearing, bracelets up into the elbows. Now we're 90s babies, right? So I know that we used to wear bracelets, bangles, and things, but up to the elbows, I probably would have been like, girl, where did you get those things from? But yes, that's amazing. Like, so many people don't think about like how their story aligns with their younger versions of themselves. And that's where
Yeah.
we really, embody, we're like spiritless when we're younger. Not spiritless, but like fearless. Fearless.
Fearless. Oh,
And
yeah.
and that's why I feel like when we're younger, that's when we typically like really operate within our gifts. And as we get
Mhm.
older, right, we start to get different experiences. Life starts to kind of cut
Yeah.
us down a little bit. Like, it gets
Oh,
blurry. So I love that you brought up how you correlated that to your childhood. It's super important.
definitely.
Yeah, and that's why we actually started our business too. So me and Dwayna, TG the consultant, for the people who are here watching today who don't know about our company, we are a creative consulting agency. And I'm headquartered in Dallas, Texas now. I recently moved. We'll talk about that a little bit in the conversation. But also too, we started our business because we knew that there was like a missing part for how people show up and how they actually want to be seen, right? When it comes to creatives and business owners. And we started as a PR agency, and recently we've actually pivoted to a full creative consulting firm. And we did that because we felt like we were out of alignment, even though we've been in business for like 8 years. As we started, we felt in alignment, right? We knew that we were using our gifts to, for me, I have a background in fashion as well. So, and I'm a certified image consultant. So with that, Dwayna had a client one day that was on the local news, and the lady was on the news with her, like, her bra strap hanging out. And I was like, Dwayne, I messaged her. I was like, Dwayne, this is a great interview, but all I could look at was your client's bra strap on, the live news, right? So, so I was like, wait, we come into business together because her story is great, her vision, her vision of what she wants to do, but it's like I can't tell that she's a hairdresser, because it's like when you think about somebody who does hair, and you think about like not just outer, we know that people do it for other people to feel joyous, to feel good about themselves, but the way you present yourself matters, and that's why people do hair, because the way you present yourself matters, right?
Right.
I was like, that
Absolutely.
was missing from her story. So we knew that from there we needed to come together and help people create those cohesive brands.
Mhm.
And when we realized we were out of alignment was when life really started kind of to hit us. And some of you watching today might feel the same, because life is going to life regardless. No matter, you can be the person who prays all day every day, and you can be the person who doesn't pray all day every day, right? But when you add that prayer in there and that spiritual alignment with God, it's going to help you get through those days. And we realized that was a part that was like that true intimacy with alignment with God in our business was missing.
Mm.
um so we've pivoted, we are recentered, and now we are a full creative agency. Like, after losing our grandmother, after becoming mothers of multiples, we realized, okay, to get to that next level, something has to change. So
Yeah.
here we are today. And I know I kind of rambled that off a little bit, but I want to share our backgrounds. And I think it's super important when we're talking about owning our legacies and sharing our stories, because it's going to be truly imperative for you ladies here watching today to make sure that you own that, in order to share your story. Okay.
Mhm.
Now we're going to get into the conversation here. And Angelica, first I want to start with the icebreaker. Okay. So what has inspired you to step into the work you actually do today?
I can think of one word with that, and that's simply impact. I think ever since I was young, I've always known that I never fit in, whether, as I mentioned before, through the fashion lens, but also just where I am spiritually and morally. I've always known that I wanted to make an impact upon people. I never knew what until I really explored within myself and owned who I am to find that with that impact, it's positive. As I said, my full purpose, I believe, in life is to lead people to become the best versions of themselves. And so what really inspires me is that it's the impact that I want to make upon people, but especially even younger girls and teenagers nowadays. I think what really encouraged me to start this brand, and whether that's my personal brand or my brand is the fact that I have had so many conversations with women and even friends of mine or younger girls in which they they feel that they need to devalue themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or they simply feel that they lack in a certain way. And I don't even know how I do it. I think it's an incredible gift from God that I'm able to hold space for people so effortlessly, which is something that I take advantage of, because I take advantage of in the sense of I continue to hold space for people no matter the circumstance. But after having those conversations, I've really realized how much I want to influence people and young women to
Yeah.
feel empowered, and to explore their identity and to not feel ashamed. Just because, especially as social media progresses and technology, we can hardly know what's real and what isn't. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel fortunate enough to grow up in a time of social media where it wasn't really as prominent growing up. It was there, but no one really explored
Mm-hmm.
it. And then now with like influencers nowadays and Photoshop and everything, and people comparing to other people instead of owning themselves authentically. And I think with that, I've ever since really deepening myself and deepening my why. Creating okay, why do I want to make an impact? What type of an impact? Um, and solidifying that, and then that has really inspired me. I think on top of that too, it's even even the role models that I have in life. I've been raised in an environment where with any problem comes a solution, and that's the first thing you think of. So I grew up very like quick to solution minded, and like, okay, let's solve this. Yeah, that and also just I am a very visual person, and I feel very connected to music as well, like music and visual imagery. And so sometimes when I listen to certain songs, just I just feel it. I'm just like, okay, like I can feel it. I can see everything that I feel that I'm supposed to do. Or even when I really get in touch with myself spiritually, I just get all of these visuals of like, okay, this is what makes me feel empowered. And so when I feel empowered myself, I feel inspired to empower others.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that the way you align your impact to, again, your gifts, like that's super important. Like you mentioned, I love how you mentioned like you didn't always know, right?
Yes.
And there's like a light bulb that goes off once you have that, like it's like that alignment moment is like, wait, this is what it is. So that's,
Yes.
yes. So that's so beautiful. And I love that you shared that. Now when you hear the word legacy, what does it personally mean to you?
Yeah. So with legacy, I think that there's this kind of this preconceived thought that legacy is something that is measured after you die and you pass. And I could not disagree more. I think that with legacy, it starts when you realize that the present moment is the only time that you have. The past
Mm-hmm.
is in the past; it's out of your grasp. And the future, well, that the future is not predictable. The only predictable moment that you have is right now. So your legacy starts when you take advantage of this current moment and you simply act upon it, because life can go away like that. The next 5 minutes, the next day isn't predictable. It's not guaranteed. And so with legacy, it starts as soon as you realize the current moment that you have and to do something with it in your capability. I think everyone, not think, I purely believe everyone is capable. Everyone is capable of anything. Um, and when you realize that you have this opportunity, this current moment where you are alive to do something, that is when legacy starts.
The true legacy. And you don't even really think about that. You're thinking about like legacy, like what am I leaving here for the people, right? It's like, no, what are you doing now for the people? That's the true legacy.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that. All right, awesome. So, what moment or experience made you realize your story had um, the okay? What moment or experience made you realize the story that you had to share? When did you realize, like, wait, this is not just something I need to be keeping to myself? Like, I want to start this jewelry brand. I want to share my voice.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say my most surreal experience was last year. I went to a Tony Robbins summit, which I will forever recommend to everybody. He's known for, first day you're walking on hot coals and like it's super intense. I mean, we started at 8 a.m. on the first day, ended at like 2 a.m. And that was like first day and then every single day. But through that summit, I had realized the level of my capability, which is simply limitless. And going to that had really awakened me to my true calling. When I went at the time, I was in a very vulnerable place, and going to that one summit, it really empowered me. It fueled me, um, and it really opened my eyes to what I want to do with my life and why. Because I think that it's so normal to just go with the flow and the motions of life that you don't really step back and think, why am I doing these things?
Right.
And so going to the summit, it opened my eyes as to, okay, what do I want to do with my life now? Like, why?
Yeah.
Um, and I felt connected to myself emotionally, physically, and mentally. And like I said, with those visuals, I started to really visualize, okay, what do I want the next 5, 10 years of my life to look like?
Mm,
Um, and I feel like going to that, it really opened my eyes to my purpose of wanting to help people become the best versions of themselves. Um, because as much as I said, self-improvement is something that has always been brought up in my childhood, but I never
mm,
really saw it as a tool or a resource as like a career. I never really knew that, okay, I never thought that I could be capable of turning that into a career and
yeah.
doing that full time. And so going to that summit, it really opened my eyes to that of like, wait, I am capable of doing this. I can do this. And then I've always wanted to post self-improvement content on social media. One of the things that really pushed me to do that is because beforehand I was making jewelry content and all of that, like fashion content, which I absolutely love. Um, but I had come to the realization that I do not want people to be attracted to me simply because of my physical being,
Yeah.
but the depth of my soul. And
Mm,
what better way to do that than post the knowledge that I know of self-improvement and spirituality and God and where I stand morally, and finding my people. I saw this one quote um, somewhere where it's like, oh, like, well, you have to be authentic because
yeah.
how are people going to know how to find you? Which is true. And growing up, kind of being the black sheep always, um,
Mhm.
I've always struggled with finding true friends and finding true people because growing up as one, the whole fashion sense, but also like I would be a new person every month, whether that was a new look, new hairdo, new something, or internally, like growing up, I was always changing something. I never really stayed in one state of mind or state of look. Um, yeah, but then I started posting on social media, and it immediately gained traction to people
Yeah.
who like are like-minded, like yourself, and it's like moments like that where it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that that could happen, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I feel incredibly grateful for that and for that push because it created connections like this, like you and I. Uh,
Yes.
and I've met so many cool people through just posting self-improvement content through that. And that itself has been an incredible, inspiring experience.
Yes. I love that. And to like for as we're gonna share Angelica's handles and things later for the woman watching. Like when I seen her content, I wouldn't like I knew that she was into fashion, right? Because you can tell just the accessories and when you're a fashion girl, you just know other when you
Yes.
see somebody who's into fashion, right? But I
Yeah.
would have never known that she sell jewelry, right? I know that, but now that I've connected with her and I see more of her posts as well. It's like, wait, I found I got in alignment with her through the impact of motivation, inspiration, right? Self improvement. But now it's like now she pulled us in. She pulled me in, and it's like, wait, no, I want to buy from her. So now we got to check out the jury, and that's what,
Yes.
especially when it comes to small business owners. It's not just the sell, it's not just the transaction. It's like, what legacy are you creating with the story, and that's also how you keep buyers who want to come back, who want to stay tuned in to what you're doing and what you have to offer. So I
Yeah.
love that for you, Angelica. Okay, so let's get into the power of your story. You've talked about your brand and how you started, and really how the personal journey took you to opening and rebranding, really, your jewelry business as well. But what would you say to women who are struggling to share their stories as significant enough, or to even know like what to even say with in connection to their brand and how they're going to create their legacy for their business, or just for themselves, because we are a business, like outside of the entity of transactions, like how what tips do you have to give to the
Yeah,
ladies?
absolutely. Um, Speaking from my own experience, but also I have found a constant trend of, if you feel that your story is not significant enough to share, it's often a reflection on your view of your own self-value. And to which I say with that, I say that one, not a single dollar, not a multitude of dollars can compare to your own value, as you are priceless. I am a firm believer that if God has the power to bring you into this world and to create this world, he certainly has the power to take you out. So the
Yeah.
fact that you woke up today, you have another day where you woke up, it means that you still have a purpose to fulfill and you still have value to incorporate into this world and to people all around in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your purpose was done, if you already fulfilled your purpose, God will
Yeah.
take you out.
Yeah.
He's just that powerful.
Yes.
That's what I believe. So starting with that, it is, you are priceless. You still have value to provide, and especially as an entrepreneur and creative, I find that one of the greatest struggles that we have as women in this field is balancing feminine and masculinity.
Yes.
I think that with women who are one entrepreneurs and creatives, we often rely more on our masculine side rather
Mm-hmm.
than our femininity. And the
Yeah.
thing is what really engages the femininity is acknowledging your own self-value. And
Mm-hmm.
with acknowledging your own self-value, you have to define it. Um, what makes you valuable? You know, it's one thing if I'm telling you, oh, you are valuable. It's like, oh, okay. You like it's like leading a horse to water. You can't make it drink. I
Yeah.
can tell you something. That doesn't mean that you fully understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I certainly can suggest is I can suggest that you prioritize little things in your life, in your day to day, that make you feel valuable, and to keep track of that. Um, One of the things that I like to do is I like to check in with myself it could be every 5 minutes, it could be every hour, or simply every single time I notice a shift in my emotions, in my physical being. If I notice that I'm a lot more tense than usual, or if I notice that I'm anxious or stressed all of a sudden, I will simply stop and ask myself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? Because as I mentioned before, it's so easy to get into that cyclical pattern of life where you're just going and going and going, especially one, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a creative, if you're a mother, if you're not a mother, either way, it's like us as women nowadays, we are trained to just go, 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 and to provide, to provide, to provide without having that intentional setback on checking in on ourselves. And so what this does by asking yourself, taking a minute, everybody has a minute to be
Yeah.
like, why am I feeling this way? You are taking that external value, because when you're in autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
you're focusing on everything else. Your perception of value is external. It's going outside of you. But when you
Mm-hmm.
stop and you pause and you're like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? All of that perception goes on to you. Now all of your focus, all of that value goes into you. And
Yes.
that is something that I feel has subconsciously or it has trained my subconscious like very subtly, because I feel like with a lot of, okay, well, how do you define your self-value? You know, a lot of people will be like, oh, like I'm gonna do all of these things. I'm gonna do a shopping spree. I'm gonna, you know, and it's like, okay, well, now they're spending all their time and money on things that are external, and ultimately, what doesn't value you is external. You know, what values you is your soul. It's knowing the resting place of your soul where you are,
Yeah.
and holding space for yourself. And um, I find that with that, it's way more powerful than going on a shopping spree or, you know, getting a facial. Like, of course, yes, treat yourself, do those things. But that's temporary validation for
Mm,
you who is in all limitless being. You know, like
yeah.
when you have limitless capability, you deserve limitless, like
Yes.
you deserve you deserve limitless opportunities. You deserve limitless care.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, with women, you know, in our field, it's we do balance a lot with femininity and masculinity. And as much as yes, we are wired to have both. However, in order to really engage in your view of value, you have to become more feminine, become more soft, and acknowledge the fact that you are priceless already
Mm-hmm.
on your own. Like you do not need to prove anything, anything. You already are. The fact that God gave you life, you
Mm-hmm.
are enough already as it is. God saw you, saw that you were valuable enough to create a life for you, to create a family for you, to provide for you, to put clothes on your back, to put food on your plate, to give you a roof over your head, to give you a career, and most importantly, to give you a desire and ambition and motivation to become something greater than what this belief system of doing a 9 to 5 and like social conformity, as we are used to, as we are taught.
Yeah.
You know, God gave you a desire to become something different and to
Yeah.
own it. And with that, that's already powerful, powerful enough uh,
Yes.
amongst everything else. You know.
You said a lot of good stuff there. So a couple things I want to touch on. And I think it's so important when you mentioned the femininity and masculinity. And this is something that we've been in like this mastermind, intuitive mastermind for the past year, and like just working on like shadow things and all that. And this comes up a lot in our session, and it's all women in this mastermind, right? All women business owners. And if they don't have a business that's currently 6 figures or trying to get to 6 figures, they're starting off. And I think that's one really, really important thing to mention is, you know, the masculine energy women have to carry to produce, to provide, to grow these
Mhm.
businesses, right? But then it's like, wait, you have to remember who we are at our core. And
Mhm.
that's when that's the legacy was already created for us. If, you know, if we were supposed to be working as these masculine men, we would have just, God would have just made us a male figure, right?
That's what
So,
I'm trying to say.
yeah, but if you really don't think about it until you like, wait, I got to sit down and really get focused, because it's like, wait, we live in this culture, like you said, conformity of like go, 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 hustle and bustle. And entrepreneurship is a, like, it's been pictured and sold to us as hustle and bustle. But that is not the true. I mean, granted, you have to work, you know, working is, you know, part of the plan, but whatever is designed for us, defined, is already defined for us. So with that, it's like you have to be first, then you have to do so you can have. And I think that's really important for ladies, the ladies watching here today. And if you feel like, wait, I don't know, like how to not operate my masculine, or I thought I was feminine because I'm a woman. No,
Yeah.
it's really getting in tune with, like Angelica said, your softness. And me being a girl from Jersey, growing up, and like if you're from anywhere up north, you know, and Angelica, you live up north, so it's like a different world, right? And it's like you're raised to be masculine, especially in the fast life, the city life. It's just a constant go, 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 like as Angelica mentioned. But I think once you really, you know, that you're in alignment, when you are like, you sit still with yourself and you're like, wait, I want to be aware first. I need to be softer, right? I need to be in alignment with my femininity, and then you just put in the practice. And it's going to take a lot of work. it's exhausting. Like we've been in this mastermind, and a couple weeks ago we were just doing a practice on perfectionism, right? Because as women, that's one of the things I've struggled with, and I know a lot of women struggle with perfectionism, especially women that look like us, because it's like we have to fit into this world, and we always have to overperform and overdo. Being Black women. So with that being said, it's like that work that you have to do is going to be exhausting, but
Yeah.
it's going to be so rewarding on the other side, because like I said a couple weeks ago, I was like, wait, I need a nap. I'm like the emotional fatigue is over here, but it's going to take the work, but it's going to be so
Mhm.
so rewarding. So, and that's how you own it, and that's how you create your impact. Okay, so Angelica, let's talk about building an aligned brand. Okay, what does it mean to build a brand that truly reflects your values and purpose? You kind of touched on this, but I would love for you to just go into a little bit more about, you know, the creating that value and purpose with for the women watching, and giving them like just a little bit more insight of like the impact that I know you mentioned Tony Robbins. You went to this summit, and it was like very life changing. Like, how did that help you create? Like, what tools were given to you for the women here to be able to reflect on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a firm believer in it is so crucial and critical to align your personal mission with your brand mission, which is the main reason why I decided to rebrand my brand after going to Tony Robbins was because I realized that everything that I had created prior no longer aligns with the person that I am.
Yeah.
Um, and so, first, it's very important to define your why,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes with your personal mission because how can you make a legacy brand or a heritage brand if the core of who you are is questionable, if you don't
Yeah.
know who you are? And that's why I think that it's so important to define your personal mission. It goes back to impact. Why? Why do you want to create an impact? Why do you want to make a legacy brand? Um, and then aligning that with your brand mission, because ultimately you are the core of your brand. You're the mascot. You're the one who's leading it. It's for me, it's like I'm a one woman show.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, it's for every woman creative and an entrepreneur. It's you are the core of your brand. You're the thoughts, your desire, your everything. So it's so important and critical that you define your why first before you do your how. Okay, how can I make this a brand? Um, and that's where it goes into the whole self-growth and self-exploration.
Yeah.
And as you said, Donna, it's true. It is a lot of work, which can be very intimidating to a lot of people. However, it is incredibly worth it. It is incredibly worth it because eventually it stacks up on each other, and then you're able to look back and see how much you've grown. Um, but it is something where you are faced with the rawness of who you are. And for a lot of people, that can be incredibly challenging because
Yeah.
it's not only who you are, but it's also the people before you. It's your
Mm-hmm.
past. I mean, um, everyone in their family line has had habits that have been passed down, whether on their mother's or their father's side. And oftentimes, one of the greatest struggles that we have is battling those habits from either
Mm-hmm.
conforming with it or going against it. Um, and so a lot of that starts with your inner work. It starts with taking the step to and being fearless
Yeah.
in facing yourself, which is incredibly empowering. It's incredibly empowering and powerful to diminish all those limiting beliefs and those habits and everything, because the more that you diminish those limiting beliefs, the more that you are capable and you have that fuel and that fire to create a heritage brand, to create a legacy, to impact people, to influence people, to encourage people, to inspire everything. As I said, everybody has capability. Everyone is capable. It's just a matter of time when they realize it.
Yes. And it's never too late. So if you're here today and you're like a millennial, or you're a Gen Z, or you're past the millennial stage, I don't even know what they're called, right? But whatever age you are, it's never too late. And I literally was just having this conversation with my mom, and I was letting her know like she has these dreams and goals that she wants to go after. And she made a comment like, now I wish I would have did the things if I would have knew what I knew, would have known now what I know then. It's like, no, do it now. If you know
Yeah.
it now, do
Yeah.
it now. My mother is like pushing 60, right? So it's like, it's never too late. Follow your dreams, follow your goals. And I think it's important to, like Angelica was mentioning, to be aware of the things that our parents taught us, that we know that, okay, wait, something has to change, right? And if you don't know how to do that, there's resources out there. You can get help, right? For me, I'm in therapy as well. And I think therapy has helped me heal a lot of my inner child's, SHIT, and get it together. And it's like, wait, I'm very self-aware, but it's like I needed more tools. It's like what I could do and what God could do, I needed a little bit more sprinkle in there. So there's resources out there for you ladies who, if you're like, I don't know like where to even start, because the work needs to be done. And also, I think another great way too is journaling. I think we talked about this before, Angelica. Like, you mentioned something previously about writing things down, but like, as I'm sitting here, I'm taking notes on a post-it, but I like my brain dumps. Like, write the stuff down and go back to it and be like, oh, okay, this is correlating here. This makes sense to this. Oh, okay. And then one of the things I realized too is like, if you don't write it down, it does something to your brain. Like, writing things down, getting it out, it not only helps you, have something to go back to for reference it or resource, but also too, it relaxes and calms your spirit. It
Yeah,
helps
you're
you.
venting out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so therapeutic. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of good stuff. Now, diving into visibility, vulnerability, and legacy. Vulnerability can be powerful. As we know, it's a way to connect with others, but it can also be uncomfortable. As we talked about, operating in masculine energy. When you think of masculine, you're not going to think about vulnerable, right? But so, how do you balance the transparency with professionalism when telling your story?
Absolutely. I am a firm believer that there is incredible power in being vulnerable. Everybody can be sensitive, everyone can feel emotions, and everyone is capable of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody has the strength to express it and to express vulnerability. Me being someone who used to lock myself up and I never was vulnerable towards people, I found that it had shut me out from incredible opportunity to get to know people um, on a deeper level rather than like the how are you? Oh, what's the
Yeah.
weather like? But there is incredible power in being vulnerable and being in expressing humility.
Yeah.
I find that when you are vulnerable, you are relatable to people, way
Mm-hmm.
more relatable. I think that especially in this industry, there is this. It's very quick to pretend as if you have everything together and everything's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Which I have never met anybody who has had everything together. I
Right.
certainly have never met anyone who has never felt a negative emotion or who has never felt emotions in general. That is something that we feel. We are human.
Yeah.
But most importantly, when you express that you are vulnerable, you instantly become relatable and can resonate with other people. And I think that vulnerability brings people together. There have been so many times where I have put myself out there to be vulnerable, which is incredibly scary. Because on top of that, especially women who operate on a more masculine side, being vulnerable is scary because you are all you have in the sense of you are your protector.
Mm-hmm.
And someone has to prove to you that they are worthy enough to see that vulnerable side of you. Because
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you are vulnerable with somebody, and what they will do with that
Right.
is a fear that has been instilled, whether through generations or through a traumatic occurrence. And with me, I I had that. I had that fear of, okay, what's going to happen if I'm vulnerable? What is this person going to do? Um, but in all honesty, in being vulnerable, having experiences where people have opened up to me simply because I went out of my way to be vulnerable or to share a troubling time or anything has outweighed all of those experiences where someone has mistreated my vulnerability.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you can't control anything that is outside of you. You can only control you. And if anything, it's more liberating to be vulnerable. There is a quote by Marianne Williamson. She wrote a poem called Our Deepest Fears. And in, I think it's the last line, she says, when we liberate ourselves of our deepest fears, our presence liberates others. So
Yeah.
when you are vulnerable, your vulnerability is capable of creating a safe space for people to feel vulnerable themselves.
Hmm.
It's incredibly powerful. It because vulnerability does bring people together. It makes you relatable, and it instantly deepens your connection with people outside of you.
Yeah.
That, but also being vulnerable with yourself, even just validating your emotions and just being like, oh, like I feel sad today, or like I feel stressed, or maybe I feel happy. Acknowledging those emotions, it is a great way to get in touch with your soft side, with your feminine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a way to kind of work through things like perfectionism. And I want to share this story
Yeah.
with you guys because this is actually a re-record for Angelica and I, right? And when we did our first recording for the summit, wonderful conversation, same as today. Um, the thing didn't, we had a technical difficulty, right? Couldn't find the recording. It was lost somewhere in the cloud in the sky, right? And for me, it was like one of the things, as I mentioned, I'm working through perfectionism, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, like I came up with the solution. I'm solution based, right? So I was like, email tech support, email Angelica. I was like, hey, we might need to re-record depending on if, Zoom can't pull, the clips and everything. And even though I came up with the solution, I was still like, oh my goodness, couldn't believe this happened. Like I've used the tools. I went to go walk. I did my breathing exercises. Got some light, and it was like, no, that was not enough. Like I was still like, I just cannot believe, this did not record, and that was the shadow of perfectionism coming up for me. And I had to really sit with that. And it's like, girl, it's okay that you're annoyed that it didn't record, okay, but you came up with the solution. Let's move on to something else, right? Let's
Absolutely.
feel it. Let's feel it. Let's label the emotion. You came up with the solution because that's a part of the formula too. And let's move along with the day. And I wanted to share that with you all because we are perfectly imperfect. And I think that is important for women to know that, especially when you're trying to grow something because you want things to go a certain way. As long as you're showing up, doing the things that you need to do, everything is going to fall into alignment. Okay. Everything's going to fall into alignment. Okay. So, talking about vulnerability, and what would you say is a piece of advice you would give a woman who wants to turn their life lessons into a legacy owned brand as you have?
Yeah, I would, the first thing that comes to mind is I would say to lead yourself with certainty. This is a habit that has completely altered the way that I walk through life on an everyday basis. Um, in times of uncertainty, you must create your own certainty. And of
Yeah.
course, like that doesn't mean, something a maximum risk of whether trading your business, selling your business, or or buying this or anything. It can be something as simple as when you wake up in the morning, deciding whether you want coffee or tea in the morning.
Yeah.
To be certainty led is acknowledging the unknown,
Yeah.
acknowledging that everything outside of you is simply out of your control. However, what you are in control of is you. And as long as you can become certain of yourself and your own actions, that's all that matters. And through that, what has that done for me? It has done incredible things such as rationalizations. I think through finding certainty in times of uncertainty, it builds the habit of creating rational decisions in quick timing. It also brings you to the present moment when you recognize that there's a problem and you ask yourself, okay, how can I be certain in this moment? It brings you to the current moment. But also, most importantly, it deepens your self trust. When you are actively creating certainty within yourself amongst the unknown, amongst uncertainty, you are trusting yourself with, okay, I got me. I can do this. There have been so many times where I have been emotionally all over the place. Um, extremely vulnerable or, or heartbroken or things have happened. And, at the end of the day, the certainty that I have is, and I tell myself is, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. I got me. I can, I got me, and as long as I know that, because ultimately you are the only person that you will have at all times
Yeah.
through your walk of life. So you must treat yourself accordingly. You must treat yourself with love, with respect, with value, because you are yourself. You have yourself for the rest of your life. You're the only one person that has yourself for the rest of
Yeah.
your life. And I also say, even with perfection, I think for me, I used to be and still am quite the perfectionist. And I think one thing that has really helped me with that is it's funny, I it's kind of unrelated, but I was listening to a podcast where someone had said uh, a a product like a camera, a 2D image cannot capture a multi-dimensional person.
Hmm.
After I heard that, I was like, okay, wait, things shifted for me. Because I think for me, and I think for many women, especially as I mentioned with social media, we're kind of forced to, look all perfect on social media and like
Yeah.
all of these things. And once I heard someone say that, where they said, yeah, an image cannot capture a multidimensional person, it really opened my eyes because I realized, okay, there's more sides to me than just a 2D image.
Yeah.
Just as in real life, a person, there's more to them than just a 2D image. There's more to them than just one side. We're all multidimensional. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's not going to be captured in a perfect way, which is okay. Why? Because that proves that we are authentic, that we are
Yeah.
human. And already as it is, that's perfect enough.
That is perfect enough. Yeah. Another word. So yes. Okay. So you mentioned a lot here, and you've kind of mentioned how how to create a legacy mindset. Like I know I heard you say respect, value, love yourself, but can you talk a little bit more about how to actually build that legacy mindset? Um, or how did you also build your legacy mindset? I know you talked about your parents being a huge part of that, right?
Yeah.
Setting the foundation, but a lot of people here today might not have the parents who have poured into them as well, or been in environments outside of their parents to help them create the legacy mindset that's needed to be successful, whatever success means to them. What are what's some advice you can give the ladies?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I am very fortunate to have been brought up where that has been the core of my upbringing.
Yes.
Um, and the best advice that I would give is kind of viewing yourself as your own parent.
Yeah.
I recently moved to the city about almost coming up 3 years ago. And I moved alone, live on my own. And through that, I think that it has definitely forced me to become my own parent and to govern myself. Um, I recognize that a lot of people, yes, they don't even know what self-improvement is. They don't even know where to start. And where I would start with that is parenting yourself, holding space for yourself, and also being open-minded. There's a lot of scale to spirituality and to believing in God, and that if you are expecting yourself to consume all of that at once, it is incredibly intimidating and also incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I even myself, I never pressured myself to consume everything about God, everything about spirituality all at once because there is so much there. And it's simply the best thing to do is choose an interest. Choose an
Yeah.
interest, whether that's okay. Maybe you want to learn about um, maybe you want to learn about like holistic medicine. Maybe you want to learn about how you can train your subconscious mind. Maybe you can learn about how um, to free yourself of limiting beliefs or positive affirmations. There's so much there. Just as you mentioned, Donna, there's so many resources to really step onto this path and continue onto this journey. But it's also keeping in mind that your goal in spirituality, your goal in self-improvement, or believing in God isn't the end goal.
Yeah.
It is the journey.
It's the
And
journey.
when you take the time to realize that, okay, the whole point of this is to enjoy the journey that you're on rather than the end goal,
Mm.
it's so much more fulfilling.
So
Um, and also, telling yourself, I have to give a lot of credit, and I have to tell a lot of people that there's a lot of credit to be given with the pure ambition and the pure want
mm,
of wanting to deepen your knowledge in something that is completely unfamiliar to you.
yeah.
Why? Because you are opening yourself from comfortability. Like you simply cannot grow in comfortability. So when you are opening yourself in comfortability to simply become uncomfortable, huge, huge credit is deserved. Huge
Yeah.
credit is deserved. And that is already showing signs of growth. It's the simple one of wanting more, wanting something that's familiar to you. And then through that, my best advice is to choose something, um, choose one topic to stick on. Now you don't have to study this for like the rest of your life, but stick on one topic. And then after you've gotten a good grasp of that topic, like positive affirmations. Let's say you find that you think negatively a lot and you want to alter that. Positive affirmations is a great way of doing that. Let's say, for example, as we're talking about women and their view of self-value and how some women feel that they aren't valuable enough, well, a great way to rewire that is positive affirmations, telling yourself in the mirror, writing it down, journaling. I am
Mhm.
valuable. I'm desired. I am worthy. Things
Yeah.
like that. Okay, now great. You've got a good grasp of that. All right. Now let's go into motivation. Okay, how can I become more how can I drive that motivation? Defining your why. Why do I want to have a motive? Okay, what impact do I make? And then maybe, it's something just fun. Just why not? I also think it's cool to just know random facts, just know random things. I'm also the type of person where I have so many conversations with people from different backgrounds that I just like to know a little bit of everything so that when I do meet people like real estate, I have no connection in the real estate realm, and yet like I can tell you about a couple brokerages, like
Yeah.
things like that. But it's also just doing something fun of like, okay, holistic medicine. What teas are good for when you're sick? Maybe when you are having these like hormone problems. I don't know, like things like
Yeah.
make it fun for you. This shouldn't be a chore. This shouldn't be a task. This should be something where you are excited because you know that at the end of studying something or even listening to a podcast, you are becoming 1% better. It's having that intent of becoming 1% better. And when you have that intention of becoming 1% better with every action you take, you're naturally guiding yourself through that journey, which is
Yeah.
incredible. Like, there's
It's
a
so
lot of
cool.
things, that I find that with this journey, a lot of people feel that they need to do all of this and they need to do something on a grand scale. But no, it's simply appreciating the little things, whether, like I said, realizing that you want something more. That's huge. That's great. That's incredible.
Yes, that's the start is the self-awareness. So
Yeah.
I love how you expanded on that. And speaking of, finding things that's going to pour into you, like holistic things to take care of your health or what's going to like make you just have more energy, feel more energized, or it's literally not only the things that we eat, it's the things that we feed our minds. And
Yeah.
once we take a grasp on that, we're going to be unstoppable, ladies. We're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about a lot of great stuff here. So I'm going to go through some rapid fire questions here. And okay, so what's one word that describes your brand today?
Well, my brand is called Angel Untamed, so I have to say Untamed.
Untamed. Okay, and when you say expand expand on the untamed, because that can some people can think of that as like a negative connotation, but I feel like that's perfect for what we were talking about with perfectionism, right? Knowing that if there's polarity to tamed to untamed. So I would love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with my brand, I have a saying, um, a an angel untamed is a rebellion against conformity.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be untamed is to go against the current. It's to
Yeah.
not join in with conformity. It's to be authentically who you are, to release all the filters, to, when I think of untamed, I think of, a free spirit. I think of an unstoppable force. And in fact, that's one of the affirmations that I tell myself is, I am a force, especially as women, when we are truly in touch with who we are and we can own that authentically, we are a force of good nature. We are a force for good. We are an unstoppable force. And that is what Angel Untamed is all about. And that's what to be untamed means, is to acknowledge that you have that force within you. It's just a matter of before you let it free.
Yes. Okay. All right. So a quote or a mantra you live by.
Yeah, I would say it's in times of uncertainty to create your own certainty.
All right. Awesome. And a woman who inspires your legacy.
So I'm going to have to give that to my mother.
Yeah.
But this is also a great opportunity to credit both of my parents, and credit my father as well. My mother, she has been my greatest role model for fashion and presence and and composure as well, as my father when it comes to strategic thinking and being so solution minded. But both of my parents, they are the reason why I am who I am and the core of who I am with self-improvement. I genuinely do believe that without my parents, without the guidance of my parents, I would not be in this field. I wouldn't have all of these reflections that I do. And I 100% have to credit this to my parents.
Yes, parents. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. And what does aligned and thriving mean to you?
Yeah, so with aligned and thriving, what that means to me is that you are unshakable. What it means is that no matter what force may come at you, as life is not linear. Especially in this field, you are so susceptible to chaos. And
Yes.
that is either in this field, that is either as a mom, that is either as a partner, as a friend, as a mother, like as a sister, as a daughter. Like I think women are just naturally susceptible to chaos.
Yes.
And in this time, as life likes to throw things at us, there's no predictability with life. It is so important to be unshakable in who you are and rooting yourself so far into the ground that no matter what comes at you, you cannot be pushed over. Nothing, nothing can push you over, and that is what aligned and thriving is. It's being so rooted in yourself that you're able to adapt to all occurrences coming at your way.
Yes. It's all about adapting because life is chaotic, but it's also beautiful. So it's like negative, positive. You can always find a positive in the negative. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, so any closing remarks you want to leave the ladies? Like this was an amazing conversation. Whenever we've connected, we like the connection, the alignment is just there. I do thank you for sharing so much wisdom today. Do you want to leave the ladies with any last nuggets?
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you, Donna and Duana, for having me as a speaker. I feel incredibly honored, as I mentioned before. Even an opportunity like this, it's very surreal for me. And so this is something that has led me to feel empowered, and I'm so grateful that you have invited me as a speaker to also empower women and to shed light. And to everyone who's watching, I just want to say that if you haven't heard it today, you are enough and that you are powerful. And I can say that I'm very proud of every woman who has put themselves out there, especially in this summit to learn more and to get in touch with themselves. It's incredibly powering, and I think everyone deserves that credibility that they're willing to put themselves in uncomfortability. So yeah, that's what I would like to close. Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for listening in and hearing me out.
Of course, always a pleasure. So, to everyone who is tuning in, remember your brand is just not your story, it's the impact, it's the legacy, it's owning it, it's showing up authentically.
Yes.
And if you are like, we talked about a lot of stuff here, but it's important that it comes from the soul because we don't want to cover up, as Angelica mentioned, in this wonderful conversation that we have. Like, you can go get a facial, you can put the clothes on, but it's just a cover up. So let's make sure we're doing the inner work. Let's make sure we are prioritizing us, pouring into us so we can show up and own our legacy. And
Yes.
then, Angelica, I do want to share, I want you to share with the ladies how they can find you, where can they shop your brand, all the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is Angelica Hughes with an underscore, and then as well as TikTok, even with email, email Angelica Hughes USA at gmail.com. And then as far as my shop, as shop inquiries, Angelica at angelandtame.com. Um, and as far as my collection, I'm releasing a new collection in 2026. So tune in for that. It's angelandtame.com.
All right. And then also too, before we go, Angelica is providing everyone tuned in today with a special. So you'll be able to get a free 30-minute clarity and alignment coaching call with Angelica. So make sure we're going to share the link. You'll have it. Make sure you tap in with her, especially for the ladies who are like, wait, I don't know how to get clear. I don't know how to get aligned. It's okay. We all been there. You need the resources. Angelica's going to help you.
I'm here.
So thank you, ladies, for tuning in. See you next time.
Bye.
All right.